Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Planning Board agenda. Tuesday, December the 12th, or the 2nd. Oh, getting ahead of ourselves, aren't we? Mercy. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Do we have any declaration of conflicts today? I should note that we have resident member Jackie, and we also have Councillor Julie McCabe online with us today. Thank you, folks, for joining us. Approval of our agenda. Moved by Bob, seconded by Lee. All those in favor? Okay. Jackie and Julie?
In favor.
Okay, great. How about I'll assume you're in favor unless I hear otherwise?
Sounds good.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
Okay, adoption of our minutes from our planning board meeting from November the 4th. Okay, and seconded by Bob. All those in favor? Okay, and that was Dave that moved that. Thank you for that. Any business arising from those minutes? Okay, seeing none, we can move right on to our reports. And our first one is 289 Sydney Street, PID 339549. And I'll turn this over to our Manager of Development, David Gundrum. Over to you, David.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, members of Planning Board. Just wait for the slides to show up there. Okay, there we go. So the first application this evening is a request for a major variance at 289 Sydney Street, PID 339549. Major variance to reduce the required minimum lot frontage for an interior residential lot from 10.6 meters, 34.8 feet, down to 7.1 meters, 23.2 feet, in order to facilitate the future subdivision of a new residential lot on the subject property to the west of the existing dwelling. Subject property is in the downtown neighborhood DN zone. Subject property is located within a mature neighborhood on the eastern periphery of downtown Charlottetown. Existing neighborhood contains a mix of housing types from various periods of time and vintages. In regard to our legislative requirements, in accordance with Section 3.9 of the Zoning and Development Bylaw, on November the 12th, 2025, notice of the application was circulated to 64 property owners within 100 meters of the subject property to request written comments on the variance. No feedback in response to the mailed circulation was received. Oops, I'm just skipping ahead here. Sorry about that. Going over our analysis, the proposed major variance would not intensify any existing impacts from the established land use. The major variance would allow for a new tenure and increase available housing supply, potentially for ownership. A couple of neutral comments are that any future development will require a building and development permit, and an application for subdivision will be required to subdivide the lot. A noted shortcoming is that the proposed subdivision would not meet current minimum requirements of the downtown neighborhood zone with regard to minimum lot frontage. Just expanding on our analysis, as per Section 29.2 of the zoning bylaw, a minimum lot frontage of 10.6 meters is required for a lot containing any building having 3 dwelling units or less in the downtown neighborhood zone. The subject property, I don't know what's going on there. The subject property is an interior lot. Is an interior lot with frontage to the south along Sydney Street. The existing single detached dwelling is sited on the property along the east side of the property and has an existing driveway access onto Sydney Street. As no further relief from zoning is being requested beyond the reduced minimum lot frontage to create the proposed lot, any future construction would be required to conform to the remaining requirements of the downtown neighborhood zone with regard to building height and building setbacks from property boundaries. This would assure that land use impacts to abutting properties would be controlled by the prevailing zoning, as no rezoning or site-specific amendment is proposed to accommodate the lot creation. Permitted uses would remain as those which are compatible with existing established uses in the neighborhood block, which is wholly zoned as downtown neighborhood. I'll just note that the intent and purpose of the minimum lot frontage requirement is to ensure that sufficient frontage exists to ensure adequate street access for driveways and to ensure that sufficient land base also exists to enable permitted development to occur under zoning. While the narrower lot frontage of 7.1 meters would constrain the new lot versus others on the neighborhood block that otherwise meet the minimum lot frontage requirement, it would still leave sufficient width at the street to accommodate a typical driveway access as well, given the proposed depth of the new lot at approximately 26 meters or 85 feet. This would leave sufficient buildable area to develop a residential use of modest scale, which would be compatible with existing residential development in the immediate area, given required setbacks from property boundaries. So to conclude, our recommendation is that Planning Board recommend that Council approve the proposed major variance for the existing property identified as 289 Sydney Street, PID 339549 in the downtown neighborhood zone, to permit a reduced minimum lot frontage of 7.1 meters, 23.2 feet on an interior lot. And it's noted that if the major variance is approved, an application for a lot subdivision to subdivide the existing property to create a new vacant lot with the reduced minimum lot frontage in accordance with the approved variance would then be considered, and it's noted that that would be a staff-approved process. So thank you, and I'll turn it back to the chair for any discussion.
Thank you for your report, David. Any questions from the board? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Beck.
Yeah, I don't know whether Stacy wants to answer this or Dave wants to answer this, but on page 20, just looking at I'm trying to understand how this property works. So it's set back off the street and the building will run basically back to the property line on the abutting property, is that correct?
Through the chair, Councillor Beck, are you referring to the existing house on the
The
lot?
new one.
Oh, the
I'm
new
just seeing where the existing dwelling is, and it kind of starts closer to the street and it ends back, I don't know, 3/4 of the way back, I guess, where it says building to be removed near around there. So do you have to, and again, I'm just trying to visualize what this would look like in the end, but the parking for 2025-2 would be there. The parking remains for 2025-1 where it is. Do you have to have some kind of delineation of properties in between there?
Through the chair, Councillor Beck, there would be, provided the lot frontage variance is approved, it would be subdivided according to what that preliminary plan shows. So there would be a new lot line, interior lot line as shown. There's no further relief required, and based on what that preliminary plan shows, there'd be adequate space to access each lot with its own dedicated driveway.
Yeah.
Again, the lot would be a bit smaller than others on the block, but still big enough you could have a viable building footprint for a smaller dwelling on that new lot. So.
And in terms of the smaller, I think the term was modest development, what are we looking at there?
In terms of a possible size of a dwelling?
Yeah.
I would say, you could probably achieve at least a 1,000 square foot dwelling. But again, with the height, you can go up to 2.5 stories in height as well. So I'm taking that into account, right? So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Councillor
Thank you.
Beck. Any other questions? We have the applicant here. Not to put you on the spot, but is there anything that you felt that we missed? Do you want to share anything, or pretty clear as clear can be, or?
I think David pretty much.
Okay, I wasn't meaning to put you on the spot, sure, Stacy. And if anyone does have questions for the applicant, he is here. Go ahead, Lee. So a motion on the floor from Lee. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Back. Any questions? And that is to support staff's recommendation. Any questions, Councillor McCabe or Jackie?
I'm
No
good.
questions, and I would vote in favor.
Okay,
Me too.
all right, so I guess all those in favor? Wonderful. Okay, we can move right on to our next application. Thank you very much for coming in, Stacy. Okay, we can move on to our next item on the agenda, and that's 22 Second Street, PID 276873. And I believe that Manager David Gundrum is pinch hitting for Stephanie this evening, so I'll turn it right over to David.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so the following application is another request for major variance at 22 Second Street. And this is a request to allow for a proposed accessory building, detached garage to project into the side yard setback by 0.88 meters or 2.9 feet. The subject property is located on an interior residential lot within the low-density residential R2 zone, containing a single detached dwelling. Surrounding properties also consist of low-density residential and institutional uses, as shown on the zoning map on the screen. Next slide is the proposed site plan to show the proposed location and orientation of the detached garage that's been submitted by the applicant. In accordance with Section 3.9 of the Zoning and Development Bylaw, on November 12, 2025, notice of the Planning Board meeting was circulated to 42 surrounding property owners within 100 meters of the subject property to request written comments on the proposed variance, and to date, no responses were received. In terms of our analysis of the application, some positives, as noted, that there would be no impacts to neighboring properties, and that adequate access to the rear of the lot from the north side of the property would remain in place in the case of an emergency. Noted shortcoming is the non-compliance with the current zoning and development bylaw, hence the need for the requested variance. And just to conclude, our recommendation is that the Planning Board recommend to Council to approve the proposed major variance for the subject property addressed as 22 Second Street, PID 276873, to allow for a proposed accessory building, detached garage to project into the side yard setback by 0.88 meters or 2.9 feet. So that is a summary of the application, our recommendation, and I'll turn it back to the chair for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Questions from anybody? David?
Yeah, I'm just curious, Dave, is this building already built? There's a new garage on that corner, and maybe it's a different property, I don't know.
Through the chair, there was a building permit submitted for
Oh,
this.
okay,
And
Oh.
through that process, it was caught that it was going to be too close to that side lot line. Now, I haven't done a site visit recently, so I can't.
I think the building's there.
I can't confirm that, but
Okay,
if that is the case, this would be an attempt to legalize what has happened through the
That's fine.
through the
No.
variance process. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, the building is there. I drove by. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah. Any other, how do we help residents from this happening in the future so that you're actually getting to do your due diligence before they put the building up?
Through the chair, it's just catching these things, trying to catch these things before they happen, catching them before shovels go on the ground. Sometimes folks work ahead of us. They sometimes start maybe without a permit or having the permit confirmed, or they get the permit and then they accidentally put the building a little bit too close, and then when we get a verification from the surveyor, we have to try and reconcile that through a variance. Again, it's just us trying to keep on ahead of things where we can, but we don't have eyes and ears everywhere all the time, right? So, yep.
But I guess in this case, you didn't get any negative letters anyway, so,
We had no response either way,
Perfect.
either way, so.
great.
Yep.
Anybody want to put a resolution on the floor? Okay, moved by Lee, and, seconded by Paul. Any questions on the resolution? All those in favor?
In favor.
Great. Thank you, Jackie.
In
Wonderful.
favor.
So we can move right on to our third agenda item, and that is, again, this is a request to consolidate two lots at 62 and 68 Violet Circle, PID 778308 and 1188465. Again, we have manager David Gundrum on the hot seat. Over to you, David.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the following application is a lot consolidation request for subject properties identified as 62 and 68 Violet Circle, PID 778308 and 1188465. And this is to merge the lots to create a new lot having a lot area of approximately 0.18 hectares or 0.44 acres within the medium density residential R3 zone. And would have approximately 50 meters of frontage along Violet Circle. The property owners have made this request in order to qualify for CMHC funding, which is tied into a minimum unit count per property to enable development for affordable or attainable housing units on the combined site. On that basis, the lot consolidation is therefore being pursued purely in the interest of legal and technical reasons to satisfy those CMHC funding criteria to enable new housing creation. Subject properties are located in a recently approved greenfield subdivision still under active development, which has a number of vacant undeveloped lots at the present time. Just a note of information for the planning board, and this zoning map also appeared in our report, that there was a recent rezoning that occurred in this area, so it does show as R2S on our current zoning map, but it's in fact actually R3 in actuality, so I just wanted to note that for the board's information. Regard to our legislative requirements, as per section 48.3.4A of the zoning bylaw, only lot consolidations where properties are found within either the R1 or R2 zones can be directly approved by the development officer. All other forms of lot consolidation by default require consideration by and recommendation through planning board and to council. In the case of land zoned as R3 and R4, a written notice is required to be sent to all owners within 100 meters of the subject property. In response to circulation sent November 17th, no comments were received from members of the public. Our analysis with regard to the application, a few positive points. The proposed lot consolidation has potential to enable creation of more affordable or attainable housing in a newly developing area of the city. Subject properties are centered within an identified residential hub as per the existing official plan. Neutral comment is that any future development will require a building and development permit, and shortcoming is that the proposal requires approval from council in order to move forward, given existing regulations in the bylaw. Just further to our analysis, the official plan has various policies which promote expansion of affordable or attainable housing supply throughout the city. Among these policies, Section 3.3 of the official plan states that one of the fundamental aims of good community management is to ensure that there is an adequate supply and variety of affordable housing for all sectors of the population. To conclude, this is a growing area of the city. As noted, the proposed lot consolidation and elimination of the internal lot line on the site has potential to unlock further development, potential to promote more affordable or attainable housing in a growing and newly developing area of the city. Given that the proposed consolidation is being put forth to satisfy CMHC criteria for funding to support affordable and attainable housing, the application can therefore be deemed as legal or technical in nature to achieve these aims. It's also noted that no variances or other relief from zoning would be required to accommodate the proposed development once the consolidation has occurred. And so on that note, our recommendation to the planning board is that Planning and Heritage Department encourages planning board to recommend to council to allow for the request to consolidate two abutting lots, each measuring approximately 914 square meters in area, identified as 62 and 68 Violet Circle, PID numbers 778308, 1188465 to form one new parcel subject to a final pinned survey plan. So that's a summary of the request recommendation. I'll turn it back to the chair for any discussion. Thank you.
Thank you for that report, David. Any questions from the board. Bobby, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to clarify for my own mind, this doesn't increase the number of units that can be built on those two lots. Is that right?
Go ahead, David. Yep, I can answer, but go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the chair, Member Kenny, it could, but there's no intention. The developer doesn't intend that. They're seeking this. There's criteria. CMHC has these criteria under their funding where there has to be a minimum number of units built, and my understanding is that they're seeking to build 5 units. And having the site combined, it allows them to have the space to do that, and therefore clear the CMHC criteria for CMHC support for the development. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just to build on what Bob said, if the applicant did change their mind by consolidating the lot, how many lots could they potentially have if they kind of went off and just changed their mind and after the consolidation was done? 6?
Through the chair, number of units, I don't have that number handy, but they'd have to conform to the requirements of the R3. The R3 does allow for multi-residential, but their main constraint, even with the combined lots combined, it's still not a large site, so they'd be probably tightly constrained by the parking ratios of 1 parking spot per unit. In all likelihood, I can't say what the upper limit on number of units would be, but it wouldn't be too far off from what they're intending to build. So, yeah.
Thank you for that. Any other, oh, go ahead, Councillor Beck.
Yeah, so previous, Dave, we had consolidated, I believe it was 1178219, and then on Evelyn Street side there, I think it was maybe 1178201 and 1178219, I think, right? It was somewhere around there. And if I remember correctly, and I think it's the same developer. They're putting a stacked townhouse of 4 units in the stacked townhouse on those 2 lots. So conceivably, we could have 4 stacked units on the Evelyn Street side and a 4 stacked townhouse on the Violet Circle side, right? So there could be potential for 8 units in this one lot.
Well, 4 on one side, 4 on, like 4 to the,
Yeah, 4 on the Evelyn Street side and 4 on the Violet Circle, or in the where the red is there, those 2 lots, and then south of those, that's where they're merging into one lot, is it not?
Yeah. So for clarification, this application is to merge these 2 together that are highlighted in red.
Right.
We're about to, after this presentation, we have a second application that would merge these 2.
Right.
So where you have 4 lots, 2 here, 2 here, you'd have 1 to the south and 1 to the north.
Right.
And not as one giant combined site, but 2 separate.
2 separate ones, yes. That would
Exact-
back onto each other. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
But conceivably, that's what could be built there, right? It could be kind of what was down over on the 2 units to the left.
Correct, but it would be, they're trying to do 5 on one site, and as my understanding, and 5 on the other, in a stacked format is my understanding. So it's very similar, but they're trying to squeeze 1 more in is my
okay.
understanding, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, hence why, and dovetailing with that, the CMHC criteria about minimum number of units on a site to secure funding
Oh, okay.
is really what's driving this. Yeah,
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
yeah.
All right. So that further subdivision, I think you already mentioned it, but it gets dealt with at staff level, right?
Correct. Well, actually, no, this is, this subdivision has to be approved through council because of, for lot consolidations, the zoning bylaw only allows staff approve a consolidation in the R1 or R2 zones. Any other zone requires sign off by council. which is why we're here, which is why this is in front of everybody right now. It's not an R1 or R2 situation, which are the only consolidations that staff can directly approve. Otherwise, it has to go to planning board. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
okay. I think we already approved those 2 lots to the south there. I think we already changed them to R3.
The
didn't we?
zoning on those was changed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So R3 to the south, R3 to the north.
Correct, yeah, correct.
And then they're going to try and figure out how they can get 5 units in on
Correct.
each one.
Correct.
And that will be dealt with that will all be dealt with at staff level.
Correct, that would be through a permit application, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Thanks, Counselor Beck. Any other questions? Okay, so moved by Counselor Beck to support staff's recommendation, seconded by Dave. Any questions on the resolution? Seeing none, all those in favor? Wonderful.
In favor.
Perfect, thank you, folks online. Okay, moving on to our next item on the agenda. Back to Dave again, and as Counselor Beck had alluded to, it is 4349 Evelyn Street, again for request to consolidate the 2 lots. PID number 11895505 and 11895513. Over to you, Dave.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so, very similar to the last application, this is a request for consolidation of subject properties identified as 43 and 49 Evelyn Street, PID 11895505 and 11895513, to create a new lot which would be 0.18 hectares, 0.44 acres in size in the R3 zone, with 50 meters, 164 feet of frontage along Violet Circle to the north. Evelyn Street to the south, my apologies. The owners have made requests to qualify for CMHC funding based on unit count per property to enable development of affordable and attainable housing units on the combined site. The lot consolidation is therefore being pursued purely in the interest of legal and technical reasons to satisfy CMHC funding criteria in the pursuit of creating new housing. Subject properties are located in a recently approved greenfield subdivision still under active development, having a number of vacant undeveloped lots at present. Similar to the last application, I'll just note that our zoning map's a little out of date, and the lots should show as R3 and not R2S. As per section 48.3.4A of the zoning and development bylaw, only lot consolidations where properties are found within either the R1 or R2 zones can be directly approved by the development officer. All other forms of lot consolidation by default require consideration by and recommendation to planning board and council. In the case of land zoned as R3 and R4, written notice is required to be sent to property owners within 100 meters of the subject property. In response to circulation sent November 17th, 2025, no comments were received from members of the public regarding the application. Just getting into our analysis, a couple of positive points are that the lot consolidation has potential to enable creation of more affordable or attainable housing within a newly developing area of the city. Subject properties are centered within an identified residential hub as per the existing official plan. Neutral comment is that a building and development permit would be required to facilitate the future development. And a noted shortcoming is that the proposal requires approval from council to move forward based on the existing regulations in the zoning and development bylaw. Just further to our analysis, the official plan has various policies to promote expansion of affordable or attainable housing supply throughout the city. Among these policies, Section 3.3, Housing Needs and Variety of the official plan, states that one of the fundamental aims for good community planning and management is to ensure that there is an adequate supply and variety of affordable housing for all sectors of the population. To conclude, this is a growing area of the city. As noted, the proposed consolidation and elimination of the existing internal lot line has potential to unlock further development potential to promote affordable or attainable housing in a growing and newly developing area of the city. Given that the proposed lot consolidation is being put forth to satisfy CMHC criteria for funding to support affordable and attainable housing, the application can therefore be deemed as legal or technical in nature to achieve these stated aims. It's also noted that no variances or other relief from zoning would be required to accommodate the proposed development once the consolidation has occurred. So in conclusion, our recommendation to the board, Planning and Heritage Department encourages Planning Board to recommend to Council to allow for the request to consolidate 2 abutting lots, each measuring approximately 914 square meters in area, identified as 43 and 49 Evelyn Street, PIDs 1189505 and 1189513 to form one new parcel subject to a final pinned survey plan. So that's a summary of the application, and I'll turn it back to the chair for any further discussion. Thank you.
Thanks for that report. Any questions? Anybody want to put a resolution on the floor? No. Okay, moved by Bob, seconded by Paul. Resolutions on the floor, any questions? If not, all those in favor? Wonderful.
In favor.
Great, thank you for that. And the final item on the agenda is really just an FYI. David, our manager, has put together our proposed schedule for the year, which is great to have in advance. So you might just want to have it as a note. I mean, you'll still get your calendar notifications with the, the normal way, but this, at least you'll have it all in advance. And I think Melissa's already sent it out anyways, but that's, any questions on the schedule for next year? No? 2026. Okay, any other new business? Seeing none, motion to adjourn. Moved by Lee, seconded by Bob. All those in favor. Good night, everybody.
favor.
Safe
Thank you.
travels.